Spoilers for It Chapter 2 are ahead. It Chapter 2 ends with the Losers Club defeating It by calling It names and lowering It's self-esteem. So, why did this work? And why didn't they just do this when they were kids? We've got the answers for you right here on Screen Crush. It Chapter 1 had a running theme of fear. It's not a subtle theme, and it's constantly woven throughout the movie's dialogue.
Fear.
The Losers Club were able to defeat It by facing each other's fears and working as a team. But the theme of It Chapter 2 is memory. To defeat Pennywise, the grown-up losers have to remember the traumatic past that they've suppressed. Now again, this isn't subtle. The first line of the movie is Mike narrating, "Memory is a funny thing." The marquee of the abandoned movie theater reads, "Thanks for the memories, Derry," and so on and so on. But why is memory so important in the movie and in the original novel? And how does memory defeat Pennywise? For starters, Derry itself has a kind of collective amnesia in the novel.
It's like she's been forgotten because Corcoran's missing.
With its history of death and child murder, no parent would ever want to raise their kids in this town. Derry should have been abandoned years ago. But the citizens forget these deaths by burying the past and not learning from their mistakes. Mike narrates, "We are what we wish we could forget." In other words, we are shaped by trauma. All of the horrible events of the loser's childhood, the abuse, the lies, and the family deaths make them stronger. For instance, Eddie made a lot of progress in It Chapter 1. He stood up to his overbearing mother.
"I'm sorry, but the only people that were actually trying to protect me were my friends. And you made me turn my back on them when I really needed them. So I'm going."
He discovered that he didn't have asthma.
Your medication. They're placebos.
And he's actually healthier and stronger than he ever realized. Remember, Eddie is a germaphobe all through the movie.
Have you ever heard of a staph infection?
Also, staph infection.
So unsanitary. This is literally like swimming inside of a toilet bowl right now. I mean, have you ever heard of listeria? No!
So these events should help him to overcome his faults.
My mom will have an aneurysm, okay? If she finds out that we're playing down here, I'm serious.
But Eddie, in the present, has reverted to his old ways. He still uses an inhaler. He's married to a woman so much like his mother that he actually calls her mom, and he's still afraid of the leper from the first movie. In Chapter 1, the children were able to face their fears by telling themselves,
That isn't real. Because it isn't real.
but in Chapter 2, they need to learn that lesson again because they don't remember learning it. This applies to love as well as fear. Bill has forgotten his feelings for Beverly, so he marries a woman he's trying to turn into Beverly. In the movie scene he's written for her, she's covered in blood, just like Beverly was in It. He tells her, "Be who I want you to be, and I thought you were someone else." Because he doesn't remember Beverly, he never got over her. But this is true for Beverly as well. She married an abusive man just like her father. She repeats this cycle because she never learned from her mistakes. In It Chapter 1, she thought Bill wrote her the postcard poem, but learned the truth after Ben kissed her.
General Ambers.
My heart burns there too.
But then in Chapter 2, she has to learn this lesson again so she and Ben can move forward and be together. And it doesn't hurt that puberty really did its job on Ben. The losers, in many ways, are children in adult bodies. To become mature, self-actualized people capable of defeating Pennywise, they have to recover their buried past, often by literally digging it up. Their clubhouse is located underground. Beverly's postcard is behind a baseboard, and Bill pulls Georgie's boat out of the sewer. This act of revisiting familiar places, reenacting old fears, brings back their old traumas. Bill starts stuttering again, and Henry's H carving appears in Ben's stomach. In Chapter 2, the losers aren't just facing their fears, they're facing the memories of the fears that they should have conquered years ago. Bill even relives a memory from the first film, but this time he's submerged in water. Now, water is an important symbol in It. We even did a whole video essay about it linked in the description. Water symbolizes the subconscious and the fears that we bury deep inside our memories. In this scene, Bill watches his 12-year-old self speak to Pennywise in his basement. Young Bill admits that he blames himself for his brother's death, but adult Bill is able to see past the guilt and fear and tell his younger self that it's not his fault.
It's not your fault.
He's able to cope with this trauma because he's regained his full memory and he can see events rationally as an adult. This ability to see his life from an adult perspective makes him strong enough to face Pennywise. If the losers would have remembered the events of the first movie, Pennywise wouldn't be as scary. His constant mind manipulations would have seemed boring after a while because, as adults, they would know that these events aren't real. For instance, in the Rick and Morty episode Lawnmower Dog, they go deep into the layers of Morty's teacher's subconscious. They encounter a Freddy Krueger lookalike named Scary Terry.
You can run, but you can't hide.
They're terrified until they realize that they can just ignore Terry and he'll go away.
You can run, but you can't hide!
Afterwards, Terry becomes a joke. He's got a wife, a family, he's unsatisfied with his job, and he even has his own childhood trauma. They defeated Terry by placing him in a different context. Or, as they say in It, all things abide by the shape of the laws they inhabit. Because the losers have regained their memories, they're able to see past their basest fears. They're confident in themselves, and they can see Pennywise in a different context. Remember, they only beat Pennywise in Chapter 1 because they conquered their fears.
She wasn't afraid. And we aren't either. Not anymore.
So in Chapter 2, they have to first remember their traumas so they can then remember how they originally conquered these fears. Then they're able to see Pennywise for what he is, a childhood bully like Henry Bowers. Bullies, beneath it all, are childish, insecure, and afraid. And, like Officer Bowers said,
Ain't nothing like a little fear to make a paper man crumble.
it's important that the losers don't forget at the end of the movie. They remember their traumas past and present and use the experience to become better people. Their scars are gone, but the memories remain. What did you think of It Chapter 2? Let me know in the comments below. And hey, if it's your first time here, please subscribe. For Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy.